Can I help you?
I'm waiting to be tried.
On what charge?
My name is Gurney Slade. I did a television show recently and they didn't think it was very funny. I'm being charged with having no sense of humor.
Oh. Well, I'll see what I can do.
Thank you.
Hear ye, hear ye, hear ye. All present for the trial of one Gurney Slade. Silence in court. Be upstanding for the judge of this court, the Right Honourable Miss Justice Princess Eleanor.
Let's put the kibosh on it. Princess Eleanor. She's the one in the fairy tale. The one who never laughed. I don't stand a chance.
The court is now in session. Gurney Slade, you are hereby charged with having no sense of humor, in that, on a certain date or thereabouts, you did appear on a television screen before an audience of 7,008,942 witnesses for the purpose of amusing said viewers, and in the course of 10 minutes and 40 seconds raised not one titter. How plead you? Guilty or not guilty?
Guilty?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My lady, I can't tell you how pleased we are to be here in your wonderful, wonderful courtroom. As a matter of fact, a very funny thing happened to me coming to court. A man came up to me and said, "Are you going to court?" And I said, "Yes, I'm going to court." And he said, "Who?"
My lady, I object to evidence being offered which is merely hearsay. Since the gentleman who accosted the defense counsel is not in court, I move that the evidence be struck off.
Objection sustained. Kindly confine your evidence to the case in point.
My lady, I shall admit that my client has no case to answer. He's a very clever lad. Why, only the other day he comes up to me and says, "My dog doesn't eat meat." Oh, says I, "Why not?" says I. "Because we don't give him any," says he. He's a card, no mistake.
Is the dog in question present in court?
He doesn't have to be. It's a very funny joke.
My lady, I submit that the ill treatment of starving, dumb animals, far from being a very funny joke, has no bearing on the case.
Objection sustained.
I tell you, it's a very funny joke. Never misses. George Roby always used it.
Excuse me, my lady. Archie. Archie.
Don't worry, this is just the warm-up. I'll get them going and you can step in and paralyse.
My lady, I submit that these ridiculous, unverified statements are being used merely as a device to waste time. The defending counsel is out of order.
Who's out of order? You better watch it, mate. I was doing the alls before he was thought of.
Archie, excuse
I'll have you know I was topping the bill of the Oban Empire 30 years ago.
Yeah, and you were very good too, Archie.
I was a personal friend of Jimmy Wheeler's father.
Yeah.
I used to come up there and used to say, "I've got a brown shoe and a black shoe."
Wonderful, Archie. Very good. But I can manage on my own, you see.
And the funny thing is, I got a pair just like it at home.
Oh. Thanks, Archie.
Then I used to go to the old flower routine.
Archie, hold on. 2, 3, 4. My lady, I'd like to change my plea to not guilty. And may I have your permission to conduct my own defense?
Yes. Permission granted.
Thank you very much.
My lady, with your permission. The first part of my evidence consists of an extract from the defendant's brand of humor, which I shall place before the court.
Come on, Bus, start. I'll never get down to the labour in time now. All the good jobs will have gone. I'll get left with those where you have to work. Trouble is, I can never get up in the morning. I feel lousy when I wake up. I feel lousy all day, come to that. I don't know how other people manage to be so enthusiastic. It would wear me out. You can advertise here for as little as a halfpenny a day. Who wants a halfpenny a day? I'd advertise for more than that. What do you need in the home? Philpotts countersunk screws. Now, there's a case in point. Now, look at that fellow in that advertisement. Brimming over with enthusiasm, sparkling eyes, flashing teeth. You can tell it's a real joy and a privilege for him to stand up there and hold a box of countersunk screws. How can he be so keen with a job like that? Oh, well. Penalty for spitting £5. When you come to think of all the nasty things you could do in a bus, it's funny they pick on spitting. There he is, still at it, grin away with his box of countersunk screws. What must his mum say when she sees him in that poster? All the money she spent bringing him up for a fine future, the years of training he had, teachers, schools, everything. And there's the culmination, a fully fledged countersunk screwer. Oh, well, I've had it now. There'll be no jobs going by the time I get there. Tell me, sir, how did you come to take up countersunk screwing? Well, I've always collected things, you know. First it was cigarette cards and then stamps. Then one day I was walking along and I spotted something. I said, hello, a countersunk screw. It was fate then. Yes, ever since then I've been fascinated by these little wonders of modern engineering. But, sir, how can you get so excited over what is, in effect, a little bit of metal? It's quite obvious from that last remark that you little realize the importance of the screw in modern life. Countersunk, of course. I suppose he's right. We're surrounded by countersunk screws and we don't know it. We've got them in chairs. Where would we be without them? Lying flat on the floor. The Japanese probably don't need them because they sit on the floor anyway. They might have them in rickshaws, though. Yes, I should think that rickshaws are probably riddled with countersunk screws. Left-hand thread, of course. Countersunk screwing is the very basis of modern society. I mean, it affects everybody from the lowest to the highest. Even Diana Dawes must have at least one. Of course, it'll be gold-plated. It's a frightening thought. This bus hasn't moved in 10 minutes. It's enough to make you want to spit. I suppose that's the idea, so they can nick you for an extra £5. Murder, rape, they don't charge you a penny. But if you dare spit, that's your lot. I can't look at that fellow anymore. I think I'll give up the labour exchange idea. I'll nip down the Mile End Road, see one of the boys, and fix myself up with a soft job. One with a good screw, and it won't be countersunk.
Milady, gentlemen of the jury. Now, you have seen for yourselves the heinous felony which the accused has committed, and it is my intention to prove that it was committed deliberately with the intention of defrauding the public, and that it bore no relation to any known sense of humor. I intend to call evidence to prove that not only was it lacking in humor, but that it was calculated to undermine our entire social structure. Call Herbert Pledge.
Call Herbert Pledge.
You are Herbert Pledge.
I am.
And you are employed as a precision engineering shop steward by the Tensile Steel Manufacturing Company?
I am.
You are recognized as an expert at your trade in all branches of metalwork.
Yes, I think I can honestly say I am recognized as an expert in my trade. Yes, I think I can honestly say that.
Can you identify this object?
I can.
Then identify it.
That is a countersunk screw.
A countersunk screw. How can you be sure of this?
I have been engaged in the manufacture of this article for a period of 25 years and 4 months.
Would you repeat that?
That.
Not that. The first part.
I have been engaged in the manufacture of this article for a period of 25 years and 4 months.
Mr. Pledge, did you hear the accused talk about this screw on television?
Yes, I thought he spoke quite well about the screw, although he was obviously a little misinformed. For instance, he stated that the Japanese use the screw with a left-hand thread. This is erroneous. In fact, we make the screws supplied in Japan, and they are, in fact, right-handed.
In other words, the accused was misleading the public.
Oh, indefinitely, yes. But other than that, I thought he spoke quite well about the subject.
Mr. Pledge, what would your reaction be if I were to tell you that the accused meant his remarks about this screw to be amusing and funny?
Indeed. Then I can only say that the men are 100% behind me in my decisions, and that this matter will be referred to the Union Subcommittee to form a subcommittee to report on its findings to a special subcommittee which will inform the management of its findings in due course.
Thank you, Mr. Pledge. Your witness.
Mr. Pledge, you have lived and breathed countersunk screws for over 25 years now, haven't you? And 4 months.
Yes.
I submit to you that these conditions could make you a little screwy, for the want of a better word.
Not at all. I find the countersunk screw has a very sobering effect on one. It enables one to keep a fair balance of the true values of life.
Mr. Pledge, would you say you had a sense of humour?
Yes, I think I can honestly say I have a sense of humour. I have a reputation at the works of being a bit of a wag, a card, you might say.
And yet you find nothing funny in a man's whole life being wrapped up in countersunk screws?
Well, it is obvious from that remark that you little realise the importance of the screw in modern life. Countersunk, of course.
But I said that on the television.
Precisely.
Mr. Pledge, supposing a man spent his entire life surrounded by and completely wrapped up in self-locking panic bolts.
I would find that quite amusing. The idea of a man spending his whole life wrapped up in self-locking panic bolts I do find quite amusing.
Then why not countersunk screws?
There is nothing funny about the countersunk screw. The whole basis of our modern society revolves around the screw. Countersunk, of course.
Thank you. You may stand down. Seems to be coming along quite well, doesn't it?
Call the next witness, please.
Call a typical television audience.
You watch a lot of television.
Yes, quite a bit, yes.
I should like to give the court some indication of your normal likes and dislikes. Who is your favourite TV star?
Oh, that bloke, isn't it?
What bloke?
You know, the one with the girl, the music bit.
Oh, we don't like him.
Don't we? Oh, no, not him. The other one. The Sunday one.
Oh, yeah, he's good. Gives all that stuff away. And there's the other bloke, he gives it away and all.
In other words, you are varied in your tastes.
Well, we like everything within reason.
What did you think of the piece by the defendant?
Well, that was clever. Very clever.
Would you say it was funny?
Oh, funny. Clever.
Well, how about you, madam?
I didn't understand what it was all about. Besides that, I don't think it ought to be allowed. Bad for kids. But, Mum, belt up. I don't think it's good for their education. All that violence. Mum, I said belt up.
Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Typical Viewer.
Mr. Average Viewer, didn't you find anything in that piece funny?
Not really. The bit about spitting was quite funny.
Not fit for kids to watch.
Oh, you found that bit funny? And how about the bit about the countersunk screw?
What bit was that?
Well, the whole plot revolved around countersunk screws.
Oh. Was it funny?
Well, that's what I'm asking you.
Well, you can't expect us to see everything.
I don't know how you can miss it. It was the theme of the whole thing.
Well, I didn't know.
I object, milady. Counsel is intimidating the witness.
Is he? Keep off my wife or I'll lay one on you.
These show business people, they're all the same.
And that, milady, concludes the case for the prosecution.
I call on the defending counsel to present his case.
Thank you, Your Ladyship. I hope to present before the court evidence to prove that I do, in fact, possess a sense of humour. I wish to call my first witness. Would you call Miss Rita Lamour?
Call Rita Lamour.
Thank you, Miss Lamour. My next witness, my lady, is a key witness in the whole case. I should like the advertising poster to take the stand, please. Gentlemen of the jury, please would you look at this man for a moment. I want you to study his expression carefully. Try and suggest to yourself the feelings that must give rise to such an expression. Or may I help you? Doesn't it suggest to you the wonder and awe of a great discovery? Columbus must have looked like that when, after dreary months of storm-tossed hope and disillusionment, he finally gazed upon the sun-drenched shores of the West Indies. Pythagoras must have looked like that when the mysteries of the right-angled triangle were finally revealed to his puzzled mind. Wordsworth must have looked like that when he gazed upon that host of golden daffodils. And what about Caesar? Caesar must have felt exactly like that when he looked at the inexpressible beauty of Cleopatra as she peeped from behind an eastern veil. He has no right to look like that about a countersunk screw. Your witness.
My lady, I submit that these are the opinions of a mere individual and not facts. I would like to question the witness in order to bring out the facts. And in order to prepare for this, I ask for a 2.5 minutes recess.
Hello, this is it. The big Boyd QC twist. I knew it had to come. What's he up to? I mustn't panic. I must keep my head attached to my body.
Call Richard Brown. Call Richard Brown.
You are Mr. Richard Brown, the model who posed for this poster?
Yes.
Now, I want you to tell the court, Mr. Brown, why do you look like that?
Well, it's my new discovery look. My look what I found after all these years look.
You have several looks?
I have a complete repertoire. There's my disappointed flavor blur look. My proud, whiter-than-white shirt look. Of course, my new discovery look is reserved for the use of new products only.
Now, I want you to answer me very carefully, Mr. Brown. Is this a look which you just put on?
Good heavens, no. I have to assimilate the atmosphere. Do you know, I spent several months at the countersunk screw factory before I was infected with the thrill of the true screw pioneer.
In other words, you are sincere.
Absolutely sincere.
Thank you.
How do you do? You say you're sincere, Mr. Brown?
Absolutely.
I submit to you that that look you have conveys that you're transported with joy at having discovered countersunk screws.
Oh, thank you. Now, I would agree to that.
Tell me, Mr. Brown, how many countersunk screws have you bought recently?
20 boxes?
I submit that this look conveys that you possess more, that it's a look totally in excess of the requirements of an ordinary human being to express ownership of a countersunk screw.
Are you trying to tell me my job?
No. But if I were selling screws, I wouldn't look like Madame Curie discovering radium.
Well, there's a countersunk screw. How would you look?
I'm under no obligation to this court, Mr. Brown, to provide the right look. No further questions.
Gentlemen of the jury, you have heard the evidence in this case. You must reach a fair verdict. I do not wish to influence this case in any way, but I should like to point out that you may not find one shred of evidence to support the case that a countersunk screw is in any way amusing. I shall be very interested to hear your result, because if you do find anything funny in this object, I should be very pleased to have it explained.
The jury will retire.
Well, let's have a straight vote to see how we stand. All those who say guilty. All those who say not guilty. What? One? What makes you think he's not guilty?
Well, I don't know, but I just think we ought to talk a bit more about it, that's all.
All right, let's have a discussion. Anyone got anything to say?
Well, I suppose some people might like this sort of thing. I don't like his nose.
Yes, his nose don't come over the screen very well. It's not so much his nose, I don't mind that. It's the way he smiles. There's so much of it don't seem natural.
Yes? Yes, Chief. Yes, I get that. Right, that'll be all attended to. Hold on a minute, Chief. Excuse me, Mr. Slade. Can I have a word with you?
Certainly.
I'm from the Morning Mail. Now that you've lost this case, my paper is willing to pay you £20,000 for your life story.
What do you mean, lost this case? The jury is still deciding.
I think it's pretty obvious which way the voting is going to go, Mr. Slade. Anyway, we have both versions ready. I think you'd agree the second one is more eye-catching. It has news value, and there's a better ring to it. The alliteration, Gurney, Slade, guilty. And then, of course, it has a follow-up, too. I mean, Gurney, Slade, innocent. It's the finish of the case. But after you've gone, we can champion the cause of your humor. And after all, £20,000 is not to be sneezed at.
But what's the good of that to me when there'll be a gap between my head and my shoulders?
Will you sell your life story or not?
No, I won't. I haven't finished with my life story.
Hello, Chief. We'll have to use the alternative. My Life with Gurney Slade by Leolia Plinge.
I will reveal everything. I first met Gurney Slade at a beauty competition at Tufnell Park.
Silence in court.
Hello. The jury's coming back. What's the old rule? If they look at a condemned man, he's not guilty. If they keep their eyes down, he's had it.
Have you reached your verdict?
We have.
How find you the defendant?
How do we find the defendant?
We find the defendant, we find the defendant, we find the defendant. Find the defendant. Find him, find him, find him, find him. Find the defendant. We find the defendant. We find the defendant. Find him, find him. Guilty!
I'm very sorry you have failed to amuse us. I have been waiting over 1,000 years to be amused. I'm afraid you must suffer the penalty of all the others who have tried. You will be taken from this place to a place designated by us, in this case before this court, to to suffer the maximum penalty.
I still think it could have been funny. Perhaps the timing was wrong. It needed more rehearsal.
What seems to be the trouble?
I'm very sorry, my lady. I can't possibly carry on with this implement. It's broke.
Why, it shouldn't be too much trouble. I should put a bit of string round the top there.
I'd suggest a couple of matchsticks.
Oh, that's no good. It's got to be rigid to get a good firm swing.
Can't you bang a nail in?
Beg pardon, my lady, but a nail's no use. It's got to be a screw.
What sort of screw?
Well, as a matter of fact, my lady, a countersunk screw.
I think this proves pretty conclusively that you can fool some of the screws all of the time and all of the people part of the time, but you can't screw all the people during that time. Or words to that effect.